Hi, and welcome to our presentation about the public health nurse's role in disaster planning. I'm Brenna, and the rest of my teammates here are Kay, Rebecca, Maria, and N. I'm going to start by talking about the definition of disasters. There's both natural and human-made disasters. Natural disasters are ones like hurricanes, like Hurricane Harvey in Houston and Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico recently. Other natural disasters include floods and tornadoes, earthquakes, and even communicable disease outbreaks. Human-made disasters include fires, like some fires that have recently hit California in the past year, the Tubbs Fire up in Santa Rosa, and then the Thomas Fire down in Southern California. Other human-made disasters include chemical spills and terrorist attacks. So why public health nurses? Why do they play a big role in disaster planning? For one, nurses are the largest segment of healthcare providers. They also have specific knowledge and skills that are great for dealing with the community, especially their population-based skills such as rapid needs assessments of communities, population-based triage, mass dispensing of preventive or curative therapies, community education, providing care or managing shelters for displaced individuals, and providing ongoing continuity of essential public health services. Now the rest of my group is going to talk about the public health nurse's specific role in the 5 levels of the National Planning Framework: prevention, protection, mitigation, response, and recovery. This framework matches very well with the nursing process of assess, diagnose, plan, intervention, and evaluation. So now Rebecca is going to talk about the nurse's role in preparedness.
Hi, I'm Rebecca, and one of the nurses' role in preparedness. It's so important because in the last decade, the frequency and the intensity of natural man-made disasters natural and man-made disasters have increased quite a bit, as Brenna mentioned. And also nurses are the largest segment of U.S. healthcare and therefore should be well-educated and prepared and also be prepared to respond to these disasters. And they do, both through FEMA and the Red Cross. The Department of Homeland Security developed the National Response Framework, and it works with FEMA to provide training to these health professionals as well as the public of how to prepare in the case of a natural disaster. So this is a diagram of the National Response Framework that the Department of Homeland Security developed. And it starts with the federal government, goes to local and state, and then down to EMS, hospital care and emergency management, all the way down to legal authority and environment and ethical considerations. So in preparing, there are 4 areas that the public health nurse need to prepare in the event of a disaster. And the 4 areas are personal, professional, community, and training. So personally, a public health nurse should prepare their own homes and family members. And on the FEMA website, there are nice checklists that allow you to go through and put a kit together so that your family are prepared. It's difficult to respond to other people's needs when your own home is not in order. Second is professional. Nurses should take the initiative to prepare in their area of practice. So whether that be incident command or triage or recovery, it doesn't matter. Usually nurses stick to what they know, and so wherever you practice now, you should get proficient in doing that for responding to a disaster. And then the community, nurses should always be aware of what disasters in their community is most at risk for happening. And so they should prepare and train for those disasters, as well as help the community that they live in to prepare for the most likely disasters that can happen in that community. Then training, as mentioned before, the Department of Homeland Security with FEMA provide training both to the public and professionals. And with that, I will let Kate also speak about some preparedness.
Thank you, Rebecca. Hi, this is Kay. I'm going to continue discussing preparedness. First, I want to just give a quick definition. Preparedness includes prevention, protection, and mitigation, as mentioned. Prevention means that there should be something in place to avoid or prevent a disaster, as well as to reduce the loss of life and property by lessening the impact of disasters. Preparedness means eliminating threats before disaster strikes. There are several sections for preparedness. It's assessment, planning, implementation, and evaluation. Assessment comprises of assessing the access and functional needs during the time of disaster for the population at risk in the region. We should be able to assess ahead of time threats and hazards that pose the greatest risk at a certain region. There should be planning. Care plan should be done to assess, again, access and functional needs for population during times of disaster. And we need to collaborate and complete an assurance function with stakeholders to address needs such as sheltering, evacuation, and mass casualty surge capabilities. Next slide, please. For implementation, part of being prepared is to conduct training, drills, and exercises on the individuals, families, and communities during disaster in the region identified. And those trainings should be evaluated. Those drills, exercises, all of those should be evaluated. It is important to evaluate it so we can identify the gaps and other remaining needs. And lastly, we will need to evaluate operational plans for preparedness. And that way we can respond and recover the populations with access and functional needs. Assessment. Part of the preparedness plan is to assess the needs. I think this slide has been done. Yeah.
Hi, this is Anna. I'm going to talk about response. Nurses should utilize all life-saving measures to rescue victims, eliminate or reduce damage to property and the environment, provide basic needs such as food, water, and medicine. Next slide. Assessment. Assess the impact of infectious disease outbreak by using population-based and community health triage, surveillance and prevention of epidemic outbreak, planning. Collaborate with other professionals and agencies to develop plans for triage procedure. Next slide, please. Implementation. Arrange CHN and other team members to provide care. Assure that resources are used in the most effective manner. Meet the needs of the population by providing ongoing assessments. Evaluation. Take part in ongoing response planning. Take part in service planning and adjust the plan based on the situation. Make sure public health nursing and other needs care are in place.
Hi, this is Maria, and I'll be speaking about recovery. Recovering, so it's the core capability necessary to assist community affected by an incident to recover effectively. So a role in a public health nurse is conducting a thorough community assessment, as well as psychological support. And the role of a PHN includes being the community and a client advocate. So a little bit of assessment and planning. So the PHN assists in rapid assessment in the community and potential perspective to recovery. They assist in determining resource availability and assist in collaboration to organize for long-term effects such as health concerns that can arise, from example, from a flood or a tornado or any other kind of natural disasters. So a little bit of an implementation. So participation in rebuilding services such as health services and community foundation. Assistance for the community to return to as close as possible to a normal state or as similar as the community used to be prior to the disaster. And conducting an evaluation. So assisting in evaluating of long-term impact this natural disaster might have on individuals and families in the future, any kind of repercussions on the community. PHNs also aid in promoting public health services by means of public health nursing in order to help the community get back on their feet. These are our references. We hope you enjoyed our presentation.